My name is James Grant, and I am 55 years old. For nearly 2 decades, I have managed Grant Digital Security, a company my father established from nothing, right here in Portland, Oregon. We focus on cyber protection services primarily for Fortune 500 firms. Our standing in the Pacific Northwest is as firm and dependable as solid stone. My logical thinking and foresight when facing challenges have consistently been my strongest qualities, both at work and in my personal life. I believe my marriage with Laura was solid. We had been together since I was 37, and she appeared to fully support the family enterprise and all its demands. Our 2 children, Matthew, who is 17, and Emma, who is 15, were the heart of our existence. Or at least I assumed they were the center of my world. My father was fighting pancreatic cancer for over 8 months. The medical team at Oregon State University had provided a clear prognosis, and we all understood the inevitable conclusion was near. He had always welcomed Laura like a daughter, and it was apparent how deeply his approval mattered to her during our years together. That is why what unfolded at his funeral struck me with overwhelming force, as though I was hit by a freight train. If you are drawn to tales of ruthless revenge and astonishing plot turns, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel now. Every day features brand new, unreleased stories, each one more compelling than the previous. The funeral ceremony took place at Powell Butte Cemetery on a bleak October morning. The entire tech community in Portland gathered to honor him. My father had guided a large portion of the cybersecurity experts in the area, and his legacy was deeply respected. Experts from across the city gathered, accompanied by our company's clients who sent delegates from as distant as San Francisco and Seattle. I remained by the graveside, watching the casket slowly descend when Laura approached me holding an envelope. Her timing was nothing short of unfortunate, yet reflecting on it now, I realized that was intentional. "James," she said, her tone unexpectedly calm, "I need you to sign these." Upon opening the envelope, a chill ran through me. There were divorce papers inside, with dirt still stuck to my shoes from my father's grave. "Are you serious right now?" I whispered, keeping my voice low. People continued moving about, offering their sympathies. "The timing is far from perfect, but this must be done," she responded. "According to your father's will, all family assets have been transferred to me as the surviving daughter-in-law. My lawyer assures me it is unquestionable." Before I could fully grasp the weight of her words, Matthew and Emma appeared beside her. My own children looked at me with cold expressions I had never witnessed before, almost filled with disdain. "Dad, we have made our decision," Matthew declared, loud enough for several family friends to overhear. "We are changing our last name to Reed. Mom's new partner has promised us opportunities you never could." Emma nodded in agreement. "We want to live with Mom and Andrew. He understands us better than you ever did." Andrew Reed, my business partner of 7 years, was the man I had trusted deeply with access to our most sensitive affairs. Sensitive client information and financial systems were at stake. Standing there dressed in my black suit, surrounded by mourners, I sensed a change within myself. It was not anger. Anger burns fiercely and acts on impulse. This feeling was colder and more calculating. The same precise mindset that had built our cybersecurity empire was now fully focused on this act of betrayal. What Laura did not realize was that I had been observing this treachery for many months. Running a cybersecurity firm sharpens your instincts about deceit and unusual behavior, and Laura's actions had triggered warning signals since early spring. It began with small hints. She grew secretive about her phone, tilting the screen away whenever she sent messages. She often stayed late at her marketing job, yet when I called her office, her assistant insisted she had left hours before. Strange charges appeared on our shared credit card, dinners at upscale restaurants downtown, while she claimed to be home nursing a headache. But the most alarming sign was Andrew Reed. He had joined our firm 3 years after we branched into corporate consulting. Andrew was polished, charismatic, and held an MBA from Stanford. His expertise lay in business development, and his skills were genuine. However, in the last 6 months, he had been probing into our financial arrangements with questions beyond what his position required. During meetings, he would casually say, "Hey James, I have been thinking about the company's asset allocation. How much of our liquid assets are invested in that Portland real estate collection your father put together?" Or he would stop by my office saying, "Your father was exceptional with those initial investments. I imagine the family trust is now worth more than the company itself, right?" Back then, I assumed he was merely making conversation. Now, I see he was gathering intelligence. The turning point happened in July when our IT team noticed irregular access to our system. Someone was opening client files and financial documents outside usual working hours. The digital investigation was conclusive. Arthur's login was used, but these sessions occurred during evenings when he should have been at home. That was when I began my own discreet inquiry. I employed a private detective named Marcus Webb, once an FBI agent focusing on corporate spying cases. Within a fortnight, Marcus obtained photographs of Laura and Arthur meeting at the Heathman Hotel in downtown Portland repeatedly over several months. However, the real shock came when Marcus found out their meetings also involved a probate lawyer called Victoria Steinberg. She was known for uncovering inventive interpretations of inheritance laws, especially in situations with blended families and complicated business arrangements. I understood they were not simply involved in an affair, they were plotting a total takeover. My father's will did indeed have a clause. It appeared to work in Laura's favor, yet it depended entirely on certain conditions that I was aware had not been fulfilled. Nevertheless, if they managed to manipulate the legal interpretation and seize control over both my personal belongings and my company's shares, they could essentially push me out of the enterprise I had built. The way Matthew and Emma were exploited was perhaps the most heartless element. Andrew Reed had been crafting the image of a laid-back, caring father figure. He would take them on shopping sprees using his American Express black card, promising luxury cars when they turned 18. A BMW for Matthew, a Mercedes C-Class for Emma. He painted a vivid dream of private schooling, college funds, and trips to Europe. "Your father is too cautious with money," I once overheard him tell Emma during a summer barbecue in August. "Once I control the family finances more, you will experience what true possibilities look like." I kept a meticulous record of every questionable meeting, every financial anomaly, every conversation I could safely capture. I sought advice from my own lawyer, Patricia Morrison, an expert in business law who had dealt with multiple high-profile corporate fraud cases in the Pacific Northwest. During a confidential meeting in September, Patricia warned me that if their plan was as I suspected, they would have to commit numerous federal offenses to succeed: wire fraud, embezzlement, and possibly racketeering as well. Managing this situation across different states with business collaborators was challenging, but I could not take action just yet. My father's health was deteriorating fast, and any family controversy would have emotionally crushed him during his last months. Dad truly adored Laura. He had given her away at our wedding ceremony because her own father had passed. He saw her as the daughter he never had, so I waited patiently, observed quietly, and prepared carefully. I discreetly reorganized my personal finances, transferring funds into accounts inaccessible to Laura. I recorded every suspicious behavior from Andrew Reed and saved digital proof of their scheme. Most critically, I arranged surveillance systems to detect any unauthorized attempts to withdraw or move company assets. The toughest part was pretending all was normal within my family circle. Sitting through dinners and hearing my children share their dreams, while knowing they were influenced against me, was painful. Watching Laura act as the devoted spouse while plotting to steal everything from me tested my resolve. Yet, patience is a crucial skill in cybersecurity. The best infiltrators always expose themselves when they believe they are safe. I just needed to wait for Andrew and Laura to slip up. The funeral took place on Thursday. By the following Monday morning, they had already made their first serious error. I was seated in my office at 7 o'clock, reviewing quarterly summaries, when our chief financial officer, Janet Kim, knocked and entered wearing a worried look. "James, we have an issue," she said quietly, closing the door behind her. Over the weekend, an authorization was initiated to transfer $2,300,000 from our operational account to an offshore consulting company I had never come across before. "Show me," I said, although I already suspected what I would discover. The transfer request contained Andrew Reed's digital signature and was dated for the previous Saturday, which was 2 days following my father's funeral. The beneficiary was noted as Pacific Strategic Consulting, LLC, a firm registered in the Cayman Islands. I instructed Janet to put an immediate freeze on all outgoing transfers and to contact our bank. I told her to inform them we were performing an internal audit and requested a 48-hour hold on any transactions exceeding $50,000. Janet asked if I wanted to inform Andrew about the freeze. I told her to hold off. I wanted to observe his reaction when he noticed it himself. I did not have to wait long. At 10:15 that morning, Andrew burst into my office, his normally calm appearance completely shattered. "James, what is happening with our banking system?" he demanded. "I have a consulting agreement with time-sensitive funding that must be processed today, yet the bank is giving me trouble over an account freeze." "I am not sure what you mean, Andrew," I answered steadily. "What kind of consulting deal requires a transfer of $2,300,000 to the Cayman Islands on a weekend?" His complexion turned pale as he understood I was aware. "It is a proper business expense for the Henderson Industries account," he stated, though his tone lacked confidence. "We talked about plans to expand our business operations in the Caribbean." "Did we? I cannot bring to mind that discussion, and Henderson Industries operates out of Phoenix. What reason would they have to seek consulting help from the Cayman Islands?" Andrew Reed left my office without any further explanation. Later that day, I contacted Patricia Morrison and told her it was time to act. By Wednesday, she had obtained preliminary injunctions to freeze all shared assets while a forensic audit was underway. Even more crucially, she reached out to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit in Portland. The remarkable thing about financial deception is that it inevitably leaves a digital footprint. When you are married to someone who manages a cybersecurity firm, following that trail becomes remarkably straightforward. The forensic specialists uncovered that Andrew and Laura had been quietly diverting funds from our company for several months. They fabricated false consulting agreements, overstated vendor bills, and even created fictitious employees to collect salaries. The amount involved surpassed $800,000, pushing their offenses into serious federal felony territory. However, the most incriminating proof was found in their own correspondence. Recall those company-issued phones? Every text, email, and call between Laura and Andrew was securely stored on our protected servers. The records were crystal clear and deeply revealing. Laura boasted about how she had expertly deceived my father by exploiting her role as the mourning daughter-in-law. Andrew openly bragged about. It was astonishing how effortlessly they exploited the old gentleman's guilt over his son's extended work hours. They even made jokes about my children, labeling them as useful fools who would become emotional leverage during the divorce proceedings. When Matthew and Emma discovered that their mother and her boyfriend had spoken about them in such a way, their behavior shifted completely. One evening in November, Emma came to me in tears. "Dad, I found Mom's laptop open and saw some police reports," she cried. "Is it true what they say about her and Andrew stealing from the company?" I held her close and said, "I'm afraid it is, dear, but it's not your fault. You were deceived by people you trusted." Matthew was more difficult to reach emotionally. However, when the FBI arrested Andrew in our office with several employees witnessing the event, the truth finally registered with him. His admiration for Andrew shattered when he saw the news showing him handcuffed. The Portland Business Journal featured a front-page article titled, "Granger Digital Security Executives Charged in an $800,000 Embezzlement Scheme." The story revealed how a trusted business partner and the company founder's daughter-in-law had systematically defrauded the family enterprise while the family patriarch was battling cancer. Instead of abandoning us, our clients rallied around the company, viewing the episode as confirmation of our security skills. After all, we had exposed the criminals through our own systems. New contracts arrived within weeks of the arrests. Laura's assets were frozen, including the house she believed would become hers through inheritance manipulation. She had no choice but to move in with her sister in Beaverton and accept a position at a call center to cover her legal expenses. Andrew Reed lost his Stanford MBA credentials once the fraud conviction was added to his record. No respectable company within the tech sector was willing to hire him. The last update I heard was that he had taken up selling insurance in Spokane. The probate court determined that Laura's actions amounted to financial elder abuse against my father, which immediately disqualified her from any inheritance rights. The family trust remained exactly as my father had arranged, safeguarding the business and securing the education of his grandchildren. Perhaps the most rewarding moment arrived 6 months later, when both Laura and Andrew faced sentencing at the federal courthouse in Portland. Judge Sarah Chen handed down a 4-year federal prison term to Andrew and ordered him to pay $850,000 in restitution. Laura was sentenced to 3 years and ordered to pay an additional $400,000 in damages for her involvement in the scheme. The federal prosecutor described the case as one of the most heartless instances of financial elder abuse she had encountered in 2 decades on the bench. I sat quietly in the gallery, watching them being led away in shackles. I felt no satisfaction or desire for revenge, just a calm recognition that justice had simply taken its rightful course. The deepest transformation began in The relationship with Matthew and Emma had been deeply affected by the truth about their mother's manipulation. It shattered the way they viewed the world, yet it also created an opportunity for honest talks we had never shared before. "Dad, how did you manage to stay so composed through everything?" Matthew asked me one evening while we were in my home office working on his college applications. He had chosen to pursue computer science at Oregon State, hoping to eventually become part of the family enterprise. I told him, "Son, when someone betrays your trust, you face 2 options. You can respond emotionally and make mistakes, or think carefully and let their own actions cause their downfall. People who lie and steal always end up revealing who they really are." By the time Emma, who was now a senior in high school, developed an interest in business law, she would spend hours after observing the trial, asking me questions about corporate governance and legal ethics. "Were you afraid Mom might actually win?" she asked. I answered, "Afraid? Disappointed? Certainly. But your grandfather taught me a valuable lesson about business and life. Always keep meticulous records and never let anger dictate your decisions." Those principles proved crucial. The company did not just survive, it flourished. Our reputation for uncovering internal deceit made us the preferred cybersecurity firm for organizations worried about insider threats. We secured deals with Nike, Intel, and several prominent banks in the Pacific Northwest region. Our revenue grew by 40% during that period. In the year following the controversy, I promoted Janet Kim to the position of Chief Operating Officer and brought on 2 more forensic accountants. We created new internal security measures that eventually became benchmarks for the industry. The Harvard Business Review even featured a case study on our approach to detecting insider threats. 3 years later, I received a letter from Laura while she was serving her sentence at FCY Dublin in California. She claimed she had changed, was attending Bible study sessions, and wanted to make amends. She asked if supervised visits with the children could be arranged. I showed the letter to Matthew and Emma, who were both now in college. Their reaction was swift and unanimous. Emma said firmly, "Dad, some bridges cannot be rebuilt. She made her decisions, and we have made ours." Matthew agreed, adding, "We have a family business to run together. That is our future, not dwelling on her past mistakes." I felt proud of their maturity and insight. Andrew sent several letters as well, mostly trying to shift blame onto financial stress and insisting he never intended to harm the family. I discarded them after reading only the first paragraph. Some people never take responsibility for their actions. Today, Grant Digital Security employs more than 200 people with offices in Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco. Matthew graduated summa cum laude from Oregon State and now leads our threat analysis department. Emma completed her business degree at James Grant, who graduated from the University of Oregon, leads our legal compliance team. We established a scholarship fund in my father's honor for students pursuing studies in cybersecurity and business ethics. This award is given every year to young individuals exhibiting both technical expertise and strong moral values. The combination my father always emphasized as vital for enduring achievement. Just last month, we marked the company's 30th anniversary with a gathering at the Portland Art Museum. Clients, staff, and industry peers came together to celebrate my father's legacy and the enterprise he built through honesty and dedication. As I stood before the audience, seeing the faces of those who entrusted us with their most confidential information and financial safety, a powerful realization came over me. The betrayal that started during my father's funeral only served to reinforce everything he had worked tirelessly to create. Laura and Andrew believed they could seize our heritage through deceit and manipulation. However, their schemes only demonstrated that true success demands patience, careful planning, and ethical choices. My father often said that character is not formed in times of prosperity, but revealed in moments of adversity. The greatest betrayal I have ever known became the groundwork for the most prosperous chapter of my family's business. Some might describe these events as revenge, yet I see them as justice. Operating a business based on trust and protection teaches you that the truth eventually emerges no matter what. You simply need to be patient enough to allow things to develop naturally. Nowadays, when young business owners seek my guidance, I always share the very advice my father gave me. Keep thorough records, trust, but always double check, and never let emotions cloud sound decision-making. These guidelines will shield you from deception and set you up for enduring achievement. The Grant name still carries weight in Portland's business circles. It symbolizes honesty, dependability, and thoughtful planning that creates wealth across generations. This is a heritage worth safeguarding, and I am honored to hand it down to Matthew and Emma. If you found this story inspiring, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so and click the notification bell to stay updated on new tales like this. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.